How are you, my fans, sneak peepers, and curious friends? I am difficult and demanding. If you want to know my real name, then hold still, and I might bring your wish to fruition. Before we begin, you can find this podcast show in iTunes, Spotify, iHeartRadio, SoundCloud, Blueberry, Google Play Music, TuneIn, YouTube, and Stitcher. This is the I'm Difficult and Demanding podcast, keeping it real, uncensored, and shooting straight between the eyes. The third eye, that is. I am going to hit you with explicit truth. This solo show is outrageously honest and keenly witty with a view into life. Yes, I said life. That's what we do every day when we wake up from sleeping. We are living life. Well, some of us at least. Let's get something straight. Really, really straight. I am truly, actually, habitually, and shamelessly difficult and demanding. And I completely own it. Now, I don't ask for much because I expect and receive it all. I firmly believe that if you expect shit, you will receive shit. What does that mean? Well, it means expect nothing but the best and don't settle for less. As always, I, your host, Tara, am keeping it real and uncensored. Are you ready for me? Because it is time to dive into episode 71 of the I'm Difficult and Demanding podcast. So you want to fuck, but you want some romance first. Both of us know this is a hookup. Okay, let's pretend. I'm going to make you feel there's more because I've other intentions for you. I'm going to honor you, respect you, and cherish you. I'm going to place you high on a pedestal, so high that when I ghost you, it will be like no other. You'll remember me. I'm going to be your best hookup for the wrong reasons. Before I begin, I am going to do a call out. What's a call out? Well, it's not a shout out. I am calling out you motherfucking lurkers. If you have entered my world, then be honest with yourself about it. You want to be here, and you know I want you here, so follow me on Instagram and Twitter. Finally, climb aboard and enjoy the entire show, because I am giving you plenty of ridiculous honesty. Once the podcast episode ends, I am keeping it going on my Instagram page at Difficult and Demanding and on my Twitter page at Mrs. D and D. Hello everyone and welcome back. I want to jump right in immediately. I'm not going to tell you the name of the article, but at some point in time, I may mention it, but I want to have a bit of intrigue. So there's this lady. She went on a first date with a guy, and they met with an online dating app I want to mention. So on their first date, this gentleman took an Uber to meet her. And he basically had to make his way through a terrible winter storm to meet her on their first date. When he arrived at her place, they did a lot of talking, and he began talking about poetry. And while he was talking about poetry, naturally, his hands began to wander, and they were being very touchy-feely. 2 hours into the date, while they're touchingly talking about poetry, she started secretly hoping and wishing that he would kiss her. And he actually did that. So for an hour or more after that initial kiss, they continued kissing and talking. Now this couple, I told you, they met on with or on a dating app. They met on Tinder. Now, we all know what Tinder is about. So I don't need to go into any details about what Tinder is, what it's used for, why it's there. But they met on Tinder. So when this gentleman came straight over to her home for a quote unquote first date, I don't even know if you consider that a date. How about we call it the first fucking session? Yes, fucking session. That's what it boils down to. Now, this lady, she was 30 and the guy was 24. So there is a 5.5 year age gap. But she said what was weird about this is not the 5 years per se, because to some people 5 years is a lot. And for some people 5 years, it's nothing. It's, like a drop in a bucket. But for some reason, she felt that the 5 6 year age gap was a big deal because he did not act young. 24, he's 24, she's 30. But there was a difference between the two of them. And I'm not sure if it had to do with the age difference, upbringing, environment, or whatever. But there was a difference between the two of them. Her being 30, him being 24. She said when it came to sex and foreplay, he acted very, very different than anyone that she's ever encountered, that she's ever hooked up with. The chick is using Tinder, so she's hooking up a lot. You don't know what hooking up means? It basically means meeting people, fucking for fun, fucking for leisure, not much investment in an actual relationship. Okay. He acted differently from guys her age. He essentially was asking for permission, consent about everything they did or he wanted to do with her. What do you think about that? You meet someone on Tinder. You know what Tinder's used for. And every step of the way when it comes to physically touching, you have someone, in this case it happens to be male, he's asking for permission. Every step of the way, every baby step, he's asking, is this okay? Can I do that? Are you all right with this? Can I do that? What do you think about that? Me personally, I find it kind of jarring. It messes up the flow. It doesn't allow a chemistry, a fire, a rhythm to build. Because once you're in the moment of something, you're being asked, is this okay? Then you have to stop and check. Is this okay? Do you want this? Stop. Do I want this? So it takes away the fluidness of it. It makes it very choppy, intermittent. It just doesn't flow and go. So when she says there is a difference in age sexually, I wouldn't even say it's age difference. Maybe it's a personality or maybe it's his approach, but something was definitely different. Something was definitely off and it did not flow the way she was used to or she expected it to go. So he asked her if it was okay for them to go to the bedroom. So what did she do? She led him there. Then he proceeded to tug at the hem of her sweater and asked if he could take it off. She said yes. He then kissed her collarbone as she began to pull up his shirt. She took his shirt off. He then asked if he could take off her bra. And at that point she said, look, when I told you yes on the goddamn sweater, that meant yes all the way from the waist up. After she said that to him, he looked scared. And she thought to herself, that is a dramatic shift in his reaction, and it's a dramatic shift from what she is used to. Because his sexual training or his sexual approach is not your normal everyday thing. Clearly, she thinks because of their 5-year age gap that this is a generational thing. It's not even generations, but generations are 20 years. But for whatever the case may be, the 5-6 years in between them, she is chalking it up to being a generation, a culture, something of that nature. It hasn't run past her mind that this dude is asking every step of the way for his own personal reasons. So now before I proceed, I want to take a step back. I want to think about this. You two meet on Tinder, which is a fucking hooking up app. Let's be clear. And you invite someone over, and as you proceed to become intimate, you proceed to become physical. This dude is asking every step of the way, can I take you to the room? Can we lay in the bed? Can I take off your shirt? Can I take off your bra? Can I touch you here? Can I lick you here? Can I bite you here? Can I scratch you here? That would raise my antennas. That would raise my red flag. I would figure that was odd as fuck. He is very precautious. Very. To the point that you're wondering and thinking, what are his intentions? What are his motives? Why is he on a Tinder app if he is concerned about consent? Like, what is going on here? What is the mindset? Like, what exactly is going on? Does he think that she does not know what she wants, what she likes, or what she needs? Is he doing all this because he has had to deal with false accusations before? Is he going through this because people have had hookup Tinder remorse dealing with him? I am trying to put myself in the shoes and the mindset of both of these people, where someone is asking me like a goddamn child, like a teenager, is this okay? Do you like this? Does it feel right? Do you want me to keep doing it? Do you want me to stop doing it? There's too much fucking talking. Too much fucking talking. Nobody should be talking that motherfucking much unless it's something of a romantic nature. So clearly, all of his questions was making her very, very, very uncomfortable. Because she couldn't get in the moment. She couldn't experience it. Now, the first thing I would tell you guys is that if you're not feeling the flow of what's going on, why would you continue? The point of being intimate, hooking up, fucking, having sex, whatever you want to call it, is because you want to feel good. You want to go outside yourself. You want to deeply connect with another. Whether you know that person for 1 minute, 1 day, 1 goddamn year, or all of your life, you're doing that for a reason, because you want to connect. But you have someone who's questioning you every step of the way, which in itself could make you second guess yourself. But if you're on Tinder, I'm going to assume you know what the fuck you're doing, you know what you want, and you know why you're there. But he's questioning you every step of the way, like you have some form of being senile. I find it odd. And if it was me, I would like, pump the brakes, pump the brakes, pump the brakes. I would like, what the fuck is up? Clearly, these type of questions are there to make you uneasy. They're there to make you feel uncomfortable. They're there to make you second guess yourself. I mean, if you were to ask me really, it's a form of control. Person may not be overpowering you physically, but they are putting their tentacles into your brain because it's causing you to question. Yes, no. Am I doing this? Am I not doing this? How is that a romantic, intimate connection when you have this type of courtroom interaction between the two of you? Why do we proceed with circumstances and people who do not make us feel at our utmost comfort, who causes us to question, to doubt, to second guess, to look out of our side eye and say, what the fuck is up? If it was me, I wouldn't have proceeded forward with this person. I would have said, thank you, but no thank you. You got to go. Why continue? We have this bad habit as people that we think that once we start down a path, we have to continue down that damn path. Like, for example, she set up a profile on Tinder. Him and her, they connected. She invites him over. Initially, the first 2 or 3 hours, the date's going great. They're talking about poetry, they're touching, they're kissing, they're fondling, they're intimate. As soon as they start taking things to the next level, things start going weird. Things start going off reservation. Things just don't work. She's having to analyze every step of the way what's going on. Now, most of us think, you know what? I invited him. I'm on Tinder. I'm doing it because I want to fuck. I want to hook up. He's here. I'm here. Why not fucking go through with it? He's not being violent. He's not being aggressive. So why not go forward with it? Go through with it. What else do I got to do? You see, at that point in time, I would tell you, when you cease to have that level of comfort, when you cease to have that form of feel good, that's when you should pump the motherfucking brakes and end that goddamn date. When things get awkward and weird, you should not proceed. Because that means that connection, that bond, that chemistry, that flow that you guys had, that you were vibing on, that shit is gone. That is your sign, that is your clue, your cue that you probably don't want to proceed with this person because the act itself is not going to be as fulfilling as you originally thought. The guy has gone rogue, he has gone weird. Something that felt normal is now feeling very socially awkward. So why would you proceed? Why would you think to proceed? But we do, because we think, we're on Tinder. We invited him. I kissed him. Half my clothes are for anyway. We're in the bedroom. Fuck it. I might as well go along with it because I'm horny. I'm lonely, whatever the case may be. So let me just do this shit. And maybe it will turn out great and I can make the most of it. No, you always have a choice. When you walk down a goddamn path, you can say, you know what? I don't like the scenery. I don't like the view anymore. I'm going to do an about face, a U-turn, and I'm going to back the fuck up and get the fuck out of here. Matter of fact, this is my house. You have to go. Thank you and goodbye. Do you think that's simple? Or you're worried about how you may look? You don't owe anyone except yourself anything. So when someone starts asking you weird ass questions like, can I do this? Is this okay? Can I tug at your... If you're not feeling it, even if it's to a lesser degree than what you're used to, I would say, tell them no, tell them goodbye. So she decided to keep going on. She knew somewhere in her brain and in her instincts that this hookup that she's having with him was going to be different than what she was normally accustomed to. And she couldn't predict how. But she knew she was going to find out. So she decided to lay on her bed. And he laid beside her. So they went from kissing, hugging, rubbing, and touching to sitting there like two fucking zombie stone statues lying in bed next to each other. He got into bed and then he asked her if it was okay for him to be there with her. He's the one that asked if they could go to the bedroom. He's the one that asked if he could take off her sweater. He's the one that asked if he could take off her bra. Now he's asking her, can I lay in bed with you? So she said to him, look, I invited a guy from Tinder to my empty apartment on a snowy day. Of course, that's not how she said it. This is my my drama. She said, how about you assume that you have blanket consent? Yes, that's what she said. He asked if it was okay to lay in bed next to her. She looked at him and said, look, I'm sick of this shit. That's what's going through her head. I'm sick of this shit, this juvenile shit. I invited you, a guy from Tinder, to my empty apartment on a snowy goddamn day, which means I had nothing else to do, but I want to fuck and I chose you. So she's told him, let's assume that you have blanket consent. Let's get this shit popping. Let's get it going. He says in return, I am not comfortable with that. He was not comfortable with blanket consent. I'm silent for a reason. Because we all like to think that people, when you're in these type of situations, they control you physically. This is a guy who is asserting control in a passive manner. This is not even a balanced hookup. This is a one-way hookup. And let me explain to you what it means. He's asking you every step of the way, can I do that? Can I do this? Is this okay? Is this all right? But what he's really doing, he's hooking up in the way that he wants to hook up. Typically, when people are together, hooking up, fucking, making love, making out, it's a two-way dialogue. It's a two-way street. This person does a little bit of what they want. This person does a little bit of what they want. This person does a little bit of what they want. The other person does a little bit of what they want. It's a two-way street. It's a two-way conversation. But with this dude, he's pretending to be clueless. He's pretending to be immature. He's pretending to be caring. But what he is doing, what he's really doing, is he's controlling the situation indirectly. Everything that they're doing, everything that they're interacting, how they're performing, it's what he wants to do. It's how he wants to do it. It's when he wants to do it and why he wants to do it. By asking her if it's okay every step of the way, he's making it seem as though it's about her. It's all about her. When in actuality, it doesn't have a damn thing to do with her. She could be anybody. He's not asking her, what do you want me to do to you? He's asking her, is this okay? Do you see the difference? Someone asking you, what can I do for you? Versus, is this okay? I hope you can see the distinction between the two. One is catering to you. The other one is just making sure that they can do whatever the fuck they want to do with you, and you have some form of giving consent. But it really isn't about you. You're just a body there to perform. You could be a goddamn blow-up doll, which would probably be his preference, but it would be not warm and very, very, very plasticky. Asking, is this okay, is making it seem like he gives a fuck about you, but really he does not. He's asking this, is it okay? Because he wants to keep doing what the fuck he wants to keep doing what he's doing to you, what he wants to do to you, what he's planned to do with you, but he wants your consent. He doesn't care if you like it, you want it, you need it, or you enjoy it. And he's not going to do anything that causes you great discomfort. But this hookup is not a two-way hookup. It is a one-sided, lopsided hookup that's being disguised as pandering and catering to you. So he said he wasn't comfortable with having blanket consent because he had a roadmap, directions in his head of what he wanted to do, when he wanted to do it, why and how. So then after he said he wasn't comfortable with that, he then proceeded to raise her arm above her head, and he licked her from her armpit to her goddamn elbow. Yeah, that's what I said. He lifted up her arm above her head. He stuck his fucking face in her armpit, funk, deodorant and all, and he licked that son of a bitch down to his elbow. Now, I don't know about you, but that is not normally something someone would normally do that you've just met. It's not. It's crossing a boundary, a personal space type of boundary. You're saying, Tara, how's there a motherfucking personal space boundary when she met him on Tinder? She had every intention of having sex with him and he's in her bed. Yes. But I think there's some rules that go along with hookups. Some areas of the body that are okay and some that are not okay, some that are more intimate than others. If you're hooking up on a regular basis, I would say you become desensitized to certain things. There's certain areas of the body that are typical, normal, and that's what you expect to be touched, fondled, licked, sticked, whatever. But someone licking your goddamn armpit, it's another level of intimacy that you would not encounter unless you were with someone who you had a very strong bond with. So you're saying, why would he do something like that? I would say it's a psychological ploy. It's a way to form a false sense of intimacy or bonding that actually doesn't exist. If a guy is willing to lick your goddamn armpit all the way down to your elbow, you start as a woman to think that he has more deeper, stronger feelings for you than what you thought or what you knew. Then you start to think, well, wow, maybe it is something more to this. Maybe it's deeper than what I thought. So as women, when we think there's something more, there's something of substance, you start to relax. You start to become more agreeable. You let your guard down. You let your awareness down. And then what happens? You go along with his flow. So after he licked her goddamn armpit all the way down to her elbow, she pulled her arm away. He then said, "Is that okay? Are you okay?" So did you see what happened? Up until this point, he has asked her every step of the way before he actually did something. Is this okay? Is this okay? Is this okay? Now at this point in time, he goes and does something that's essentially out of bounds, very intimate for a hookup. He does the deed and then he asked her after the fact, "Are you all right? Is this okay?" Can you not see the fucking mind games this dude is playing? He's fucking with her. Now, I'm not saying he's being malicious, but he's definitely being very manipulative. And which is why I said in the beginning, when things got awkward, whether your titties, your tatas were out, she should have told him goodbye. Just because it's not a threatening situation, apparently threatening, there is something off with this. When someone changes their pattern of how they're behaving and they do a 180, that should tell you that something is off, something is not right. Same person says, "Can I take your sweater off? Can I take your bra off? Can I lay in bed next to you? May we go to the bedroom?" And then all of a sudden that motherfucker does a 180 and he starts licking your stinky ass pit down to your elbow. And then he asks you after the fact, "Are you okay? Do you like this?" So in his response, and her response to his question is, "I've been single and sexually active for more than a decade." And she said, "I considered myself to be sexually liberated. But in all my years, I can't remember anyone licking my motherfucking armpit." She said that is just too intimate. It is very intimate for someone you just fucking met. He laughed and said, "That's intimate." Yeah, he asked her, he said, "That's intimate." So a guy who went from asking every step of the way, "Is this okay? This is okay?" Now he's licking her fucking stinky pit and he seems confused. Do you not see the game at play here? She responded to him and said, "Yes, that is too intimate." So clearly there's a disconnect. Something is off. Maybe something's off in his head. Maybe something's off in their approach. But clearly these two people are not aligned in any way, shape, or form. They're not aligned. They have two different understandings of which acts are assumed acceptable and which sexual acts require voice consent. It's like being in the goddamn Twilight Zone in your motherfucking bedroom. Now, why would she not say, "You know what, dude? I think we need to stop. Let's meet up for coffee tomorrow or another day and let's handle this a different way. Why not get to know him better?" The only reason why someone will proceed if there's some form of insecurity. There's some form of insecurity, some abandonment issues. There's something going on that you would proceed in a situation where you did not feel good. You feel off. You feel exposed. You don't feel in control. You never want to proceed in a situation in which you have lost your footing. You're not sure-footed. You're not comfortable. If you're feeling off-centered, off-put for any way, shape, or form, whether it's blatant or not, I would say you got to trust your goddamn instincts. And you're saying, well, you know what? Everyone's sexual approach preferences is different. And each time you're with someone new, you kind of have to adjust. Yes and no. If you decide you're on Tinder and you want to hook up with someone for the night and you're vibing and things are going well, and then at some point in time, things turn awkward a little bit, a lot of bit, or whatever. When things go left, you need to go motherfucking right. You should never proceed in a situation, male or female, where your vibe is off, your balance is off, your judgment is off. You're questioning, should I, shouldn't I? What is this? I don't know. I've never seen this before. Shit, what the fuck is he? If you got all that stuff going on in your head before, during you're getting intimate, that is your sign. That is your red flag. That is your clue that you need to pump the fucking brakes on that shit and pause on your fucking fake ass date and meet that motherfucker someplace else where you get to know them or you don't meet them at all. Where you're saying, you know, it's not violent. I ain't got nothing else better to do. Shit, he's handsome. Whatever. I can roll with the flow. Rolling with the flow is going to get you feeling fucked up at the end. It's going to have you questioning, wondering. It's going to have you doing a lot of things that you should not be doing after you've been intimate with someone. When you're intimate with someone, you want to leave that shit feeling good, confident, sure-footed, secure. There should be no regrets. There should be no questioning. There should be no looking over your shoulders. There should be nothing but, wow, that shit was good as hell. That's what should be running through your head. But if you are having side conversations with yourself while you are fucking someone, I would tell you, you should not be fucking that person because something is off. And clearly this indicates that something is also off with you, that you will proceed in circumstances where you didn't feel at your best and have your utmost comfort. It is wrong, it's not right, and it's not a self-honoring decision. Anything you do in life, you want to leave that situation or that person or that place feeling your best. And if it really went well, you should be wondering, when am I going to do that shit again? When am I going to see him and her again? When am I going to go to that place again? That's what should be running through your mind. If you are trying to decipher, if you are trying to understand, if you're trying to get a fucking clue, you're trying to figure out what the fuck happened. What the fuck happened is you did some shit that you weren't supposed to. And you should have stopped it, but you did not because you had nothing else better to do. And since you called the motherfucker over there and he's paid for Uber through a winter storm, you got to give him some, right? No, you don't. You put his ass back in that motherfucking Uber, sit his ass on the goddamn porch. I don't give a fuck what you do. Close the door and move on to someone else. Simple as that. So, at some point after he licked her goddamn armpit, he put his hand on her throat and asked if the pressure was okay. He went from asking beforehand if everything is okay to doing some shit and asked after he did it if it was okay. And then he moved back to asking if something was okay. He then proceeded to kiss her from her forehead down to her toes and said he thinks that is everywhere. At the end of that night, he said, "See you soon," and he took an Uber back to his apartment. So this guy is coming off as sexually insecure, sexually immature, and really, he's playing her like a goddamn chess game. He's coming off as being attentive and thoughtful and caring. When he's actually doing is he's being indirectly controlling. It's not about what she wants. It was about what he wanted. And whatever he wanted, it was nothing that was blatantly, apparently threatening. But the fact of the matter is, he was priming her, training her, setting her up to go along with this game that he has of being very caring, affectionate, and thoughtful. All to hide. He just wanted to do what the fuck he wanted to do. And he kept her distracted by asking her all these questions. I would call that a lopsided fucking session. A lopsided hookup. She appeared to benefit, but she really wasn't benefiting. He distracted her by appearing to be immature, insecure, thoughtful, and caring. But what he was actually doing is getting everything he motherfucking wanted, how he wanted, when he wanted, and how he wanted it from her. There was no real contribution from her. The only thing she provided was a goddamn body. Everything else is what he wanted and what he needed. It was simple as that. So afterwards, he left. She sat in bed thinking about the encounter. Yeah. See? She's questioning, wondering what the fuck happened. She's thinking about the fact that she was dismissive of his asking, of his actions. But now she feels that she should not have been dismissive because all he was doing was being very caring and thoughtful and taking care of her. And she wasn't used to being taken care of. Do you see what happened? He did some things that made it seem like he really cared for her as a person. And because she wasn't used to being cared for, that it rocked her world. It set her off her equilibrium. Because now she's thinking, why was I being so mean? Why was I being so judgmental? Why was I being so harsh? When all this person was doing was making sure that I was okay and I was feeling good. Because that's what the fuck he wants you to think. Really, all he wanted from you, my dear, is he wanted a fucking body to do with what he wanted. And he asked you every step of the way to keep you from being present, to keep you from being aware that what you said really didn't matter. What you needed really didn't matter. It's what he felt like doing to you at that fucking point in time. That's all that really mattered. What he wanted. And he needed to be in control. And he disguised it all by asking you every step of the way, is this okay? Is this okay? This is okay. That is why I said you need to be careful who the hell you're hooking up with. Because people's games, their tricks, it comes in many different ways, shape, or forms. You people like to think that it's always aggressive, it's in your face. No, people have many styles and approaches to get what they want. But let's get back to her. She was not used to being taken care of, which he probably sensed, and it threw her off. She said sex made her or makes her feel unsafe, not because of the act itself, but because her partners disappear afterward. Whether she waited hours or months before the first time, they disappeared. So she always felt vulnerable after sex. Well, if she always felt vulnerable after sex, how in the hell do you think she feels now? Because this person who appeared to care, who's asking her, is this okay? Is this all right with you? May I do this? He's making it seem like he values her opinion. He values her. He sees her worthiness. He respects her. He's doing all those different things. That's how he's presenting himself. And all that did was kick up her issues, kick up her dust, get her questioning and looking at herself. So his asking left her feeling uneasy. You don't want to do anything that is making you feel uneasy. That is a no-no. Even if someone is asking you, is this okay? Do you like this? Is this all right? If you feel uneasy, that is your body. That is your sign's way. Your body, a sign, your instincts telling you something's not right. This is not good for you. You should stop. When you make love, you hook up with someone, feeling uneasy is not even a goddamn option. Nothing you do should make you feel uneasy. And if you have a choice to not do something, you should exercise that choice. Because if you feel uneasy during, you're going to feel more uneasy afterwards. And that is not a good decision. That is not a self-honoring and respectful decision. Like I told you before, just because you decide to walk down a path, when that shit stops working for you, you do about face, you turn the fuck around and you go back to where you came from. Life is about feeling good. Having good, doing better, being better. And at some point in time, if you're feeling uneasy because you are engaging with someone, I would say you need to stop engaging with them. Why sleep with that motherfucker? Do you know how many more people you can meet? If you've never encountered a hookup like this before, and clearly you're not jumping for joy for that shit, why go through with it? You can easily find somebody else who can come the fuck over that quickly after you get rid of his ass. Why go forward with it? You don't have to go forward with it. He's pissed. He's disappointed. So the fuck what? That's not your problem. He'll get the fuck over it. But the question is, how do you feel? And right about now, she's feeling uneasy. She thought he sounded very legalistic, very legal. Like he was in a self-protection type of mode. That's one piece. Other pieces, you're thinking he's being very caring. He's taking care of her. But I think he's being controlling. He's being dominating under the guise of being caring. So she decides she's going to hook up with this dude again. Okay? The first time she did it, she was uneasy. She didn't have enough. She wanted some more. That's another thing. We go back and do the same stupid shit. If you didn't feel good the first time, why the fuck you going to go back a second time? But she went back a second time. The second time he was in her bedroom. They were touching, making out. He stopped. He paused because his hand was at the zipper, the back zipper of her dress. And he asked if it was okay if he unzipped her dress. She looked him in the eye this time and didn't laugh and said yes, it was okay. So now she completely does a change of approach in her intimacy, how she hooks up. She's being more accommodating to him. She's taking him more seriously because somewhere deep down she feels that he values her, he respects her, he sees her worth. So she decides, I'm going to do it this way. This is the right way to do it. We're going to be loving. We're going to be honoring. We're going to be attentive. We're going to ask people, is this okay? Is this all right? This is the approach that she is going to take with him because she thinks now that this is the better way to be. She also thinks that if she is this way, he won't leave. He will keep coming back. Yeah. Why else would she change her approach? You should never change yourself for anyone. If you feel you need to change yourself, then you need to go someplace else because the relationship is not going to work. But let's go forward. He unzipped her dress. She slid on top of him. She kissed him and started unbuckling his belt. But then she stopped. She paused. Because you know why? She's doing a new approach. She's doing his approach. So she decides to ask him if it was or if it is okay for her to take his belt off. Yeah, she wanted to do what he was doing. And he was completely taken aback. He said, no, you can't do that. Only I do that. Yes, he said, only I do that. I ask you that. She said, why are you the only one that can ask that? He said, because I'm the one who can make you do something you don't want to do and not vice versa. And there you have it. He's giving her the biggest clue at all, but he's giving it in a way that's not as direct. He said, I am the one who can make you do something that you don't want to do not vice versa. So as I said, every step of the way, he's asking, is this okay? Is this all right? Is this okay? This is all right. The reason why is because he is indirectly making her do shit that she probably would not do. She probably doesn't feel like it's a big deal to do. But the fact is, he is controlling the situation. He is manipulating the situation. He is getting what he wants by pretending to be caring. And he does not want the shit done to him. If it was a real, balanced hookup, he wouldn't give a fuck. He would play along and say yes, like she. But no, he doesn't want to do that because he has the control. He has the power. So she thought to herself, you know what? Why can't we just treat each other as two equal human beings? Thank you. Hooking up with him, you're not two equal human beings. He's pretending to be something that he's not when he's actually controlling. She said, what is wrong with agreeing to be intimate, have intimate acts with one another, and asking each other if it's okay? She thought he was teaching her how to be fully human by honoring yes and respecting no. She went deep on some basic hookup bullshit. Let me ask you this. Why would a guy who is very caring, attentive, and thoughtful, who respects yes and honors no, why would he be on Tinder? You see how the shit doesn't match? Someone who is that affectionate, romantic, loving, kind, generous, thoughtful, they wouldn't be on Tinder. They would be meeting people at the fucking library or Starbucks or on Match.com. So that's what I'm saying. The guy is not what he seems. He seems to be loving and attentive, thoughtful, caring. Why is he on Tinder? You know how many women would love to be picked up by someone who has all these skills? Why is he on Tinder? Because he's running game. He's using, controlling, manipulating women by pretending to be immature, inexperienced, when he knows exactly what he's doing. There was probably something in her motherfucking profile that told him she has issues and she can be heavily influenced to play my game. So she assumed he was trying to teach her how to be a better person. So she hovered her hand over his belt again, and he decided to smile and say yes to her. They finished fucking, and while he was waiting, he got dressed, and while he was waiting for his Uber, he told her, I will see you soon again. But here's the funny thing. She didn't see him soon. She texted him, and he ignored her. We have to connect the dots. She thought she got lucky and she met someone who was going to teach her how to be more intimate, how to have a stronger bond with someone, how to have respect for yeses and honor people's no's and how to be a better human being in relationships. And this motherfucker ghosted her. Do you know why he ghosted her? He ghosted her because she started using his tactic of asking for permission, asking if this was okay. And he did not want to be controlled. He likes to be the one who is unassuming, immature, inexperienced to get people to do what the fuck he wants them to do. See, it's not fully about the sex. It's about the mind play with him. It's about the manipulation with him. And that is why when things went weird, things went left, she should have trusted her instincts and sent him on his way. But instead, she proceeded to go forward with him, thinking that they were building a respectful, loving type of relationship and bond off of Tinder. when she just met a master manipulator, a master disguiser. He ditched her. He ghosted her. All that loving attention and affection. He likes to get them feeling special, loved, wanted, appreciated, secure. And then he drops them. It's like holding something in the air and letting it go and letting it fall. And that's where he gets his thrill from. It's some fucked up mental, emotional bullshit that he's doing. But that's his thrill. Set you up to think I care, set you up high on the pedestal, and then I disappear and let you fall and crash. That's also a power trip. That's also a power play. It's a power play. So at first she couldn't understand. She couldn't believe why he didn't answer her. But she ended up being devastated. Her roommates did not understand her devastation. So she told them, he kissed the soft part of my armpit, licked me all the way down to my elbow, and disappeared. Her roommate said that asking about her feelings during sex does not necessarily extend to caring about them after sex. She said consent is not a contract of continuation. Listen to what I said. Asking about someone's feelings during sex does not necessarily extend to caring about them after sex. We got people hooking up on Tinder, looking for sex, looking for intimacy, looking for connection, whatever your reasons are you're looking for. At the end of the day, you want to connect with another human being, whether it's long-term, short-term, mid-term, no-term. That is why you're on those apps. So people pretend to be something they're not, pretend to feel something they don't, behave in a way that they're really not, just to get what they want from you. And you think because it's going well and they're being loving and attentive and all the other good shit, that after sex, it continues. They're loving, they're romantic beforehand, they're nice, they're wonderful during. And then when it ends, that ends, and you're confused. How can anyone get confused by what the fuck a hookup is? A hookup is a hookup. It is fast food. It's fucking at convenience. How can you expect to have a relationship, a bond, some type of kinship with someone who you're clearly putting your body available for sexual pleasure? Now, I'm not saying that's wrong, and I'm not saying that's right. But what I'm trying to understand is, how can you have an expectation of building some type of relationship when it's clear what you're saying is, I'm not looking for a relationship. I'm looking for some temporary intimacy, some temporary bonding, some temporary fucking, some temporary connection. That is not what Tinder's for. So when that guy started treating you in this lovingly manner, you're thinking you found this sensitive Renaissance type of man. You got lucky. No. If you're going to play a motherfucking game, you need to know the game you're playing. You need to understand this. You need to understand the players, the rules, the location. How do you think that you're going to meet someone on Tinder and they're going to turn out to be your dream guy? They're going to turn out to be someone who teaches you how to have, honoring relationships with yeses and nos and how to treat each other. How can you make that fucking leap of faith? That's what I said. If you're going to do some shit, know why you're doing it. And keep that shit in mind. Keep it in mind. Don't get confused by it, so you don't get played. And another thing, why would you be on Tinder when you're looking for something more? Oh, he caught you off guard? No, he didn't catch you off guard. He read something in your profile that basically said you feel unworthy, you feel insecure, you feel that no one will stay with you. So to deal with your loneliness, your void, You are hooking up with people at random to put a fucking Band-Aid on a gushing wound. He picked up on that shit and he played you. Having sex with someone that you barely know, you cannot extend feelings, expectations of them caring for you outside of that. You cannot make that leap. You started a relationship on Tinder, and you know what the fuck is up with Tinder. Now, some of you rare lucky people may have started real relationships from that, but most people, you know what is up. Someone being kind to you during sex, they're doing that because then they don't want any fucking legal issues. And they're doing it to get what the fuck they want. But once it's done, it's over with. You have to know and understand that that was a mirage. It was an illusion. It wasn't real. And if you're looking for something real, then you probably shouldn't be on fucking Tinder. So let me ask you all this. I want to know if you would consent to this question. Is it okay to act like you care about a person and then disappear? I know a number of you have done it. You act like you care for a person to get what you want and then you disappear. How does that seem normal? How does that seem right? Why not be upfront with people and tell them what the fuck you want? Oh, because you may not get what you want? You may or may not. You may or may not get what you want. But isn't it easier and simpler to be upfront about what you want instead of creating a whole bunch of issues and dramas? Because you may meet the wrong motherfucker that you basically pretend to care about, and then you fuck them over, and they come find your ass and they hunt you the fuck down. Like, why do you want to take that risk? Why do sneaky shit? You say, I can respect a motherfucker who tells me what the fuck up is in my face. Look, I want to fuck you for tonight. And that's all this will ever be. Unless I determine tomorrow that I want to fuck you tomorrow. And at that point, you can choose whether you want to fuck me back or not. I can deal with that. Why can't we deal with that truth? You're on Tinder to fuck. So why are you pretending to read poetry and do all this other bullshit? Why the fanfare? Why all that? Oh, you don't want to make it seem like it's not as raw and raunchy as it really is. It is. That's why you're on Tinder. So why are you pretending to be on a real date? Why are you pretending to build relationships? Why are you pretending to have communication? Now, why do all the fake shit? Oh, because you really want a relationship, but you can't get a relationship. You don't know how to have a real relationship. So you meet these new people and pretend, like practice, in hopes that one day when you meet someone, you will be able to figure that shit out and keep it? Like, which one is it? If you want to fuck, you do that shit. If you want a relationship, you do that shit. But you're trying to merge a fucking session and a relationship into one on Tinder that lasts about 2 weeks or less. I would say that's not clarity. I would say that's not good decision-making skills. I would say you're not sure about what you want and how to go about getting it. But instead of doing the work on yourself, you're doing these temporary Band-Aid approaches by hooking up with random people. But each person you hook up with who really doesn't give a fuck about you, all you're doing is making your situation worse and worse and worse. Most people don't leave Tinder situations feeling great. If you are doing Tinder and you don't have a real valid reason like, hey, I've been in a relationship for a long period of time. I've gone without sex. I only want to fuck till the sun up, till the sun comes up and the sun comes down. Then that makes sense to me. But if you don't have a real reason like that about, or you're a nymph, you like sex all the time, but you're not looking at the attachment. If you don't have any basic, simple reasons like that for being on Tinder, then what I would say is you have some other issues going on and you're masking and you're hiding them by hooking up with all these other people that make you seem special, attractive, loving, and being cared for. You're masking all your issues with different fucking dicks and pussies. But the fact is, you're not solving your goddamn problem. If you were hollow before, you're going to be hollow afterwards. And each person you're with is going to keep gutting you, and taking more and more and more from you. Eventually, you won't have much to give. So if you want a real relationship, you want someone who honors yes and respects no, or respects no and honors yes, get the fuck off Tinder. Go do some meditation. Go get some self-awareness. Go ground yourself. Go get clear. I'm not saying you have to be perfect. I'm just saying you just got to be aware of how fucked up you really are. Yeah, be aware of how fucked up you really are. So when you meet someone, you can be open, vulnerable, and honest about what your shit is about, and you can proceed to build a real kinship, a real bond. You can't do that shit on Tinder. Tinder is fake. It is bogus. It is a hoax. You are using your body as a goddamn pawn to feel like someone actually gives a fuck about you when they actually don't. You think I'm harsh? I'm sorry. But I need to tell you the truth, because me personally, I think your body is a gem. I think you are a diamond. And as individual diamonds, we need to understand that we're a diamond and handle ourselves accordingly. Now, because you're a diamond, it doesn't mean that you are the right diamond for everyone. So what you should do is allow the right person with the right tools, the right patience, the right intentions to find you. But instead, what we do is we take ourselves as diamonds, we polish ourselves, we put ourselves on display, and we let any and everybody use us as a diamond when they're not worthy of us. And then we're confused by why we have nothing left, while we're eroded, while we're dull, while we're dusty. Why? Why? Not everyone's meant to have you. And not everyone should have you. But when you are hooking up with random people, you are basically dulling yourself. You're taking away your shine. You're taking away your glory because you're letting motherfuckers who are unworthy touch you. Only let a worthy person touch you. Worthy people won't make you feel uneasy. Worthy people will make you feel good as hell. They will be genuine. They will be authentic. You will have no second guessing. You will have no uneasiness. Second guessing, uneasiness, all that means is you're fucking with the wrong person and you need to send them packing on their way. I don't care if you get to the point where his dick is almost entering you. If you feel uneasy, you need to tell that motherfucker, get up, get out, and goodbye. You don't owe anyone anything except for your damn self, and you need to remember that. If it doesn't feel good, stop that shit. If it doesn't feel good, you need to leave. If it doesn't feel good, you need to send that motherfucker a packing. Take care of you first. If you don't take care of you first, you end up fucking devastated over and over and over again. So, what's the moral of the story? Not everything is what it seems. And if you are questioning or feeling uneasy, that means you need to pause, put that shit on halt and stop and don't proceed. If it doesn't feel right, it is not right. I don't care what magnitude or what degree. If it doesn't feel right, it's not right, and you need to understand that. I don't know how much more simpler I can tell you. If you want to hook up with someone, the shit was going well, it's not going well, it doesn't matter. Find another motherfucker. Don't do things that don't feel good. Simple as that. And when you learn how to take better care of yourself, you will be happy, full of life, and fulfilled versus uneasy and devastated. So if you have any questions, come find me. But you know, people come in pretending to be one way and then they ghost your ass the second. We need to take better care of ourselves, look out for ourselves, and trust ourselves. And then we can avoid situations like this going forward. So tune in next week. I'll talk to you then. Goodbye. Are you disappointed this has come to an end? Well, it doesn't have to. Reach out and let me know what you think about this episode and my podcast. You can try and slide into my DM, but I will kick your ass out. So I suggest you hop into my DM on Instagram at Difficult and Demanding or Twitter at Mrs. D&D, or leave a comment on one of my posts. Episode 72 is here on April 5th, 2019 from the I'm Difficult and Demanding podcast.